जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना वनचारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधव 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 जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद की जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय जनित गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि 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 बोल। ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितां येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषाभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नमो ब्रह्मण्यदेवाय गोब्राह्मणहिताय च जगद्धिताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी. Welcome to today's morning Bhagavatam class. We're reading from the 7th canto, chapter 5, entitled Prahlad, the saintly son of Hiranyakashipu. Text number 18. Please repeat after me. Iti tam vividhopayair. Iti tam vividhopayair. Bhishayam starjanadibhi. Bhishayam starjanadibhi. Praharadam grahayam asa. Praharadam grahayam asa. Trivargasyopapadanam. Trivargasyopapadanam. Ititam vividhopayair. Bhishayam starjanadibhi. Praharadam grahayam asa. Trivargasyopapadanam. Ititam vividhopayair. Bhiyasam starjanadibhi. Praharadam grahayam asa. Trivargasyopapadanam. Ayar. Iti, in this way, tam, him, Prahlad Maharaj, vividha upayahi, by various means, bhishayan, threatening, tarjana adibhi, by chastisements, threats, etc. Praharadam, unto Prahlad Maharaj, grahayam asa, taught. Trivargasya, the three goals of lives. The path of religion, economic development, and sense gratification. Upapadanam, scripture that presents. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shanda and Amarka, the teachers of Prahlad Maharaj, chastised him and threatened their disciple in various ways and began teaching him about the paths of religion, economic development, and sense gratification. This is the way they educated him. In this verse, the word praharadam, grahayam asa are important. The words grahayam asa literally mean that they try to induce Prahlad Maharaj to accept the paths of dharma, artha, and kama, religion, economic development, and sense gratification. People are generally preoccupied with these three concerns without interest in the path of liberation. Hiranyakashipu, the father of Prahlad Maharaj, was simply interested in gold and sense enjoyment. The word Hiranya means gold, and Kashipu refers to soft cushions and beddings on which people enjoy sense gratification. The word Prahlad, however, refers to one who is always joyful in understanding Brahman, Brahmabhuta Prasanatma. Prahlad means Prasannatma, always joyful. Prahlad was always joyful in worshipping the Lord, but in accordance with the instructions of Hiranyakashipu, the teachers were interested in teaching him about material things. Materialistic people think that the path of religion is meant for improving their material conditions. The materialist goes to a temple to worship many varieties of demigods just to receive some benediction to improve his material life. He goes to a sadhu. He goes to a sadhu or so-called swami to take advantage of an easy method for achieving material opulence. In the name of religion, so-called sadhus try to satisfy the senses of the materialists by showing them shortcuts to material opulence. Sometimes they give some talisman or blessing. Sometimes they attract materialistic persons by producing gold. Then they declare themselves God, and foolish materialists are attracted to them for economic development. As a result of this process of cheating, others are reluctant to accept a religious process. Instead, they advise people in general to work for material advancement. This is going on all over the world, not only now but since time immemorial. No one is interested in moksha, liberation. There are four principles: dharma, religion, artha, economic development, kama, sense gratification, and moksha, liberation. People accept religion to become materially opulent. And why should one be material opulent? For sense gratification. Thus, people prefer these three margas, the three paths of materialistic life. No one is interested in liberation and Bhagavad Bhakti, devotional service to the Lord. And Bhagavad Bhakti, devotional service to the Lord, is above even liberation. Therefore, the process of devotional service, Krishna consciousness, is extremely difficult to understand. This will be explained later by Prahlad Maharaj. The teachers, Shanda and Amarka, try to induce Prahlad Maharaj to accept the materialistic way of life, but actually their attempt was a failure. Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langhayate grimyat kripa tamaham madhe shri gurundinatarinam. इतितम विविधोपायर भी यसाम स्तर्जनादिभिः प्रह्लादम ग्राह्यामास त्रिवर्गस्योपपादनम. Shanda and Amarka, the teachers of Prahlad Maharaj, chastised and threatened their disciple in various ways and began teaching him about the path of religion, economic development, and sense gratification. This is the way they educated him. Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langhayate girimi yat kripatamaham madhe shri gurundinitarinam. In yesterday's class, and also before that, we heard about the country of freedom, the United States, with Uncle Sam. But Uncle Sam, Krishna consciousness had a lot of problems given by some person named Ted Patrick. Maybe you've heard about this. Some kind of criminals who sold themselves, who promoted themselves as deprogrammers. It's their idea. And also in India, then ISKCON was actually under suspicion that it might be CIA. So, the United States, country of freedom, they praise themselves in contrast to Europe, where they came from. Right? The Americans are just Europeans. But in Europe, they couldn't enjoy their freedom because of the Catholic Church. So they escaped and they went to the Promised Land. And there, they were greeted by savages, the Red Indians. So they shot all the Red Indians dead and established their empire in North America. And they made a nation which was different than Europe. In Europe, you didn't have so many rules of freedom. You had to follow a religion and a church. No, they founded freedom. But then that freedom country, a country of freedom, You have to obey what they do. You have to do as they do. You have to be free the way they are free. If you want to be free in another way, then we'll lock you up. You have to buy your blue jeans and wear a baseball hat. You cannot wear a dhoti. Come on, you should be free. You should wear jeans, and leather shoes. You shouldn't wear dhoti and tilak. This is kind of your freedom. See how they are biased, right? So that actual freedom is not freedom, right? You have to be like they do, otherwise, and they globalize it, so-called globalization, and we think, oh, great, globalization. We should be narrow-minded, we should be globalized. Everyone should have a laptop, iPhone, and think that's global, We shouldn't be just limited to one country. But if it is global, then the German language should have as much, respect and following as the English language. Oh, no. Sorry, it's not English language. It's American language. They say in America, do you speak American? And if a British man hears that, he says, "How you dare? It's English." All want to globalize, but nobody wants to actually be international. They want to put the Indians down as third world country, the Africans down as third world country, fourth world country. But we are global. So in this way, it is actually Americanizing with American standard. Yes, it is true. In America, compared to other countries, there is more freedom. What kind of freedom is it? If you buy my goods, you're free. If you don't buy my goods, you're off. If you do as I do, then you're good. If you don't do as I do, then you're off. Prabhupada saw that. Hey, I need Americans for Hare Krishna movement. If you don't do as I do, you're off, If you don't shave your head, don't wear dhoti tilak, you're off. You're no good. Americans have that. You're good if you do as I do. So we see here also in the teachings of Prahlad Maharaj that Shanda and Amarika, the teachers, they have another opinion on what the world is meant for. See, the problem comes that the world has a dual function. That is dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Dharma means maintenance. Maintenance of body, maintenance of mind, maintenance of soul. Artha means wealth, gaining all kinds of euros and dollars and Dow Jones, how you call that, all this trade and the stock market. It's like the temple of Artha. The holy euro is being worshipped in those places. Money is God, gold is God. Then you have kama, sense gratification. So we don't have to elaborate on that because the world is full of sense gratification. Everywhere there is stimulus, they try to induce you to buy this, to enjoy that, and like that. So that's kama. And then there is moksha, complete freedom from the bondages of material nature. But the last one, it is also a part of our life, which people don't like. See? It is like, if dharma is the foundation for what? Okay, let us take foundation for bodily maintenance. Then artha would mean money for bodily maintenance. Kama means bodily sense gratification. And moksha? Freedom from bodily pains, right? There's a very materialistic way of looking at moksha. Now, if dharma is not bodily maintenance, but mental maintenance, like relationships, which is mental maintenance, then artha becomes having a big family, prestigious aristocracy, a dynasty, right? And that is artha, because all the wealth is within the dynasty. The children, they inherit the wealth of the parents, right? So you maintain your artha in this way. And yes, among grihasthas, there is a prestige that I am better than him. Why? Because I have more kids than he has. Because I can maintain more mouths. I can fill more mouths than he can, so I'm better. So in this way, that is artha for grihasthas. And then kama, on a mental level. Yes, we try to be happy in certain kind of ways. And, festivals are there, socializing, interactions, all these kind of things, which are not gross sensual, but it's internal happiness, happiness from interacting. They say like misery loves company. And therefore people like to have a lot of company because they are actually very miserable inside. And if you have more people, more souls, more happiness. So that is the second maintenance of emotions, of relationships. If you take mental maintenance, bodily maintenance, mental maintenance, then how would moksha become there? Moksha would mean there is no crying, there is no sadness in relationships, and it's always happy. Every day with celebration, every day some kind of happiness. But unfortunately, it is not like that. Actually, dharma is not meant for these two levels, for body and for mind, though people do that. Huh? What is that? Nartho Thai Kalpate, that's the first start. Dharmasya hi apavargasya, nartho arthayopakαλpate, narthasya dharmaikantasya kamo labhaya hi smita. Bhagavatam warns. If you want to get the basic philosophy of Bhagavatam, actually the full summary, you should memorize the second chapter of the first canto. Memorize that chapter. Then you have a full understanding what Bhagavatam is talking about. It says, Dharmasya hi apavargasya. Dharma should only be used for apavarga. So what means apavarga? In the Sanskrit alphabet, you have 4 or 5 letters, and these are arranged by in a row. Yeah, like rows, like if we call them a rows. So you have kavarga. Kavarga means the letters ka, kha, ga, gha, nga. You have chavarga, the letters cha, cha, ja, jha, nya. Then you have the tavarga, ta, tha, da, dha, na. Then you have pavarga, pa, pha, ba, bha, ma. See, that is a varga. So he Prabhupada says pavarga. We have to rise above pavarga. Now pa stands for parishram, means a lot of labor. And pa for pena. Pena means foam. If you work very hard in the hot sun, then you start to foam, might faint like a horse. And laboring hard for a piece of bread. Pa, pa, ba. Then ba stands for vyartha, or vyartha or vyartha. Va and the ba is always often is mixed. And vyartha means the fruits which you got from labor, they're ultimately destroyed. It's ultimately ending in no fruit, no result. Because ultimately you have to give up everything, all the labor you did while you were living. Vyartha. And then you have pa, pa, ba, bha, bhaya. Bhaya means fear. It's all coming together in this world. And then ma means mrityu, death. So that is pavarga. And dharmasya hi apavargasya. So dharma is not meant for pavarga, for these things, but for apavarga, which means beyond this, eternity. Satchit Ananda, that dharma is meant for. Dharmasya hi apavargasya narthor thayopakalpate. One should not use dharma for making a lot of money. Narthasya dharmaikantasya, and the money which is coming from performing dharma. See, though we don't put a donation box here for artha, for wealth, still people like to give something, because they know if I give something, I get blessings. If I want something, I have to give something. Or like the Americans say, no pain, no gain. So you have to give something to receive something. So, but still, by performing our pujas daily, whether people put that in or not, pujas are going on. But by the pujas, some wealth is coming. That should not be used for sense gratification. Dharmasya hi aikantasya kamo labhaya hi smita. One should not use it for sense gratification. So the actual purpose of dharma is to attain something which you cannot attain in this material world. And Prahlad is actually understanding that, but his teachers don't want to hear all that. Even though if they might understand it even, they're not interested. Too much engaged in sense gratification. So, this moksha, which is seen on different levels, like moksha forces itself in human life. You cannot, these are called four purusharthas, 4 goals of human life. That means, just like Krishna made the 4 varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, you cannot do without. It manifests in every society. It's become very natural. Similarly, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, you can't do without. It is manifest. This is a structure of material nature. And it is coming. It is programmed like that. You can't unprogram it. So you always find dharma. People try to maintain themselves. And they always try to find some wealth for sense gratification. But then this moksha comes in. This moksha is so disturbing because it kills the body, destroys the body on the bodily level. Moksha comes in, it creates enmity between relatives, between friends, showing that relationships are also temporary. People don't like this. The moksha principle is very much destructive. But if you look on the atmic level, moksha is not at all destructive. It is joining you with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If you are liberated from this material world, it is actually granting you something which material nature can never give you. So, for that you have to have renunciation. And what is renunciation? Renunciation means renunciation ultimately from dharma, from artha, and from kama. Then you can get moksha. And that is why the materialists don't like it. If moksha is being pursued in society, my cars won't be sold anymore. I cannot make any money anymore. And people won't listen to me. They don't buy my cheating that, oh, if you buy this car, you'll be better maintained, your body and things like that. They're not interested in this, right? In order to be materially inspired, you have to preach anti-moksha. And that's what Sandana Marka are doing here. So these demons, and also misguided people, they try to push away that destructive element, that moksha. No moksha, no moksha. Renunciation. So that only dharma, artha and kama, they exist, You take birth and it never ends. Dharma, artha, kama, But they always fail. They see it around. In front of you, people are dying. In the back of you are dying. Left and right, people are dying. Relationships are broken. Everything ends up with a tear. Like how you call that? Hoe zeg je aula? How do you say aula in German? Oh, you know the word. Very good. So it's when people, they bid farewell to their beloved ones, the final destination before they get cremated, aula. So it all ends there, the final tear you wipe away, the final breath, you bid farewell. People don't like this, but still they have to go. And they pretend to be, very sober and very nice and very, yes. In the Ola, then sometimes we think that, yes, maybe the sages, the Hare Krishnas might be right, that the world is not meant for enjoyment. But I'm not going to shave up and put on this tilak, Sometimes, in such a situation, people are forced into soberness. But they don't want that. They want to internally enjoy. Now, it is not sinful to want to live eternally and enjoy. It is not sinful. We don't claim that they are sinful, that the desire is sinful. The problem, it becomes sinful if you try to fulfill those desires in the material external world. Desires are not the problem. The way you want to fulfill it, that's your problem. Because material nature is temporary. It is bound by the rules of karma. You commit something, some offense, you get a reaction for this. So where can you then fulfill your desires without any karmic reaction? Then you have to go into the fourth level of consciousness, which is your spiritual identity in Goloka Vrindavan Dham. There you can enjoy and satisfy all your desires without having any karmical consequences, right? So the problem is there that they are trying to fulfill, realize, materialize, concretize their desires and dreams in this external world, which is stinky, smelly, old, dusty, gray, isn't it? You just go in Köln. Is it like shiny and clean and fresh? No. It's dusty, gray, dirty, poopy, stinky. It's like that, And there you want to gratify your desires? If you say this, they don't like it. They will take a whip and beat you. What you said about my beautiful city? What did you say? Like that, We cancel your passport. You're not allowed to come here anymore. They go that far, attached to their dusty, gray, worn out city, because they're so attached to that. But the being bound by their external desires to fulfill in this gross world, it makes them blind that there is something inside also, right? Something inside which is their higher self, which they don't realize. We call it Swarup, we call it higher self. There are different levels of your higher self. Like you're sitting here in a gross dimension, your higher self is your emotional constitution, right? Your Deva world. You're connected to the universe, which is your higher self. But you don't care for it because it's taught in school that no, the gross fleshy body is everything. No, we learn from the Bhagavatam. There is something called destiny. There are something called planets and universal bodies. There is universal prana flowing. You're part of that. There is universal consciousness called Mahatattva, and you're part of that. You're not just a separated entity, can do whatever he likes. You're all connected. You're part of the universe. Oh, so then what? We don't know what to do with this knowledge because we haven't learned. When you come to the temple, you learn, hey, if I'm conscious, that consciousness is part of the supreme consciousness, and I have an eternal relationship, I can actually be happy even without limiting myself to this gross body, right? These kind of things you realize. And even higher than your astral self, the self connected to the universe, is even a bigger, even a higher you, which is connected to Goloka Vrindavan Dham. And that body is only consists only out of happiness. Ecstasies left and right, all the time in ecstasy. Higher ecstasies, lower ecstasies, different colors of ecstasies and tastes of ecstasies. Wow, an ecstatic body you have called Swarupa, your original constitutional position. But because they're so much bound by their material desires, they, even if you tell them about their higher self, they think, okay, so what? Might be. Their education is so much focused on, fulfilling those goals and desires in the material world that they are blinded towards the real self. And therefore Prabhupada called modern education to be soul-killing civilization. They're killing the soul. You forget who you are. Did they ever taught you in school that you're an Atma and that you can realize that, make it alive? This is like you're making this gross body alive? No, they're not interested, right? They don't know. And everything they do, their thinking, feeling, and willing is oriented towards fulfilling the material goals. Dreams, everything has to be realized in the material world. And spiritual goals, because they're invisible, they are ghostly. They are ephemeral. They are temporary. You can't see them. It is floating somewhere in the esoteric, in the sky, Don't go for that. Go for the substance, the gross substance, the stinky, smelly, dusty city. That's your gross substance, right? So they claim that this is the only reality, like Shanna Namarka, Kalani Prahlad, that this is the only reality and you should learn like this. But all these so-called realities and science, which which gives them a foundational thinking that yes, what you see is reality, and what you can't see doesn't exist. Everything crashes in science. When you bring in a siddha, a person who's perfected his Krishna consciousness, and then you can show what we call mystic powers, and there science shuts his mouth. Science has still humility in front of mystic powers. But mystic powers are only a subtle ground for advancement in spiritual life. I mean to say, like, when mystic powers would manifest in a devotee, he only knows that I'm chanting properly. He doesn't try to enjoy them. But it means that your sadhana is proper, because the subtle realities of your higher self are becoming manifest. And then so-called mystic powers come. There have been tests in laboratoria by scientists, bringing in yogis from India. And they were testing one yogi who could stop his heart beating. or very slow it down. So then they become very humble because no scientist can do that. That means here it is shown that Atma is above matter, which they only think is philosophy. The thing only, if you want to preach to scientists, you have to be a perfected person in your sadhana because they are perfected in their field. The perfection of scientists is to make a good BMW, a Mercedes. This is the crown, the product of their science. And they've proven it. We have the best car, right? So now if you want to convince them, you should also have a Mercedes, a spiritual Mercedes in your sadhana. You should have something you can show. Otherwise they won't accept it. It's like pre-graduates, they talk about, philosophy and science, but they don't actually produce something. Undergraduates, like they go for a PhD or something like that, they are respected, but not really respected. When you have a PhD, actually, that means you have proven to be a good scientist. But below that, though you are very intelligent, you're still an undergraduate, and nobody cares for you. Because there's so many undergraduates, first graduate. So similarly, if you want to speak to those graduates, you have to be graduating also in your philosophy and in your Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, the graduates won't accept you. So you're just an undergraduate. And that's the difference between Prabhupada's preaching and our preaching. Prabhupada's preaching was graduate preaching. And we're still trying to graduate. So we can only imitate. So this is one of the things. When the scientists face a devotee who can actually make them feel the ecstasy, or who can show that 8 mystic powers exist, whatever the path of yoga is, we're supposed to actually give them the feeling of our perfection, which means Krishna Prema. So unless you have Krishna Prema, you can't give Krishna Prema. That's the perfection of our process. So suppose you could give, definitely science would submit to that. Yes, what you're saying, what you're preaching is actually what you're giving. But as long as you cannot do that, then there's a problem here. And on the other hand, when you give them, then they also become fearful, because the rug below their science, the foundation below their science is being pulled off, showing that there is something higher than what you think is here, by showing Krishna Prema, bodily ecstasies. Like Kurma Chaitanya is a form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like a tortoise. Biologically, it's not possible to shrink the body like a tortoise or elongate it, like very long, 2-3 meter long arms. It's all possible. They will say, oh, first see, then believe. So if you can't show that, it's very difficult for preaching like that. Because they fear that by this kind of preaching, their materialistic way of life, their sense gratification will be boycotted or will be stunted. But actually, they are not real scientists. Real science would mean you, without any prejudging attitude, you study all kinds of sciences, all kinds of phenomena. When it comes to spirituality, no, we don't want that. Well, that's not science. You're not objective towards that phenomena, which is part of the world also. There have been people who have been able to see moksha and had for moksha, and they also attained moksha. No, we don't care. They don't want that. So they are not real scientists, because they don't want to use their inner senses. The inner senses means when your consciousness is raised, you become pure in your consciousness, then you can actually be able to observe what is real knowledge, right? In order to see, so a very simple example. In order to see above the clouds, you have to rise above the clouds. You can't see from here. So your consciousness has to be raised, and you do that by chanting Hare Krishna. Then you can see above the clouds. And they don't want that. No, otherwise, our money, sense gratification is being boycotted. So Prabhupada mentions then that the principle of using members is in the previous verse, purport. Some of the members of the demoniac civilization, like Prahlad Maharaj, may become the handle for the axe to assist Lord Vishnu, and thus the entire forest of demoniac civilization can be cut to pieces. They have read our books. They know what we are after. Right? So they will object. Or demoniac forest is being cut, by Vishnu and his followers. So it was Prabhupada's policy to use Americans, the descendants of the demonic civilizations, and the Europeans, to cut the forest of the demoniac trees, right? And he came to purify the demonic civilization. And this is the principle of ISKCON. Prabhupada tried to take Indians, but he said, no, Swamiji, what will I gain by making him a pure devotee? I'll make him an engineer. I'll send him to Germany to study mechanics, civil engineering. We need technology. And they were coming. We have seen many Indians coming to Germany for studying all kinds of material scientists. So, but our movement is to train Westerners to preach in the Western world. And then when the Indians become Westernized and the Asians are Westernized, then they will look at Western sadhus, right? They're in fashion. They look at the Western sadhus, white sadhus, and they're very renounced, and they're preaching, attending slokas, they know Sanskrit. Then they become impressed. This was the strategy Prabhupada used. And there was no other strategy, because the Indians were so much disappointed because of being brainwashed by the Britishers, that their civilization, the Vedic civilization, their knowledge is all, fake, or it's not really working. The problem is that the Britishers, very, very grossly materialistic, could not see beyond the gross physical nature. But the Vedic literature talks about all levels of reality: wakeness, dream, deep sleep, and the fourth. It just talks openly about it. And unless you're conscious, very conscious, you don't know what level of awareness they're talking about. It's, no, that cannot be, Oceans of milk? Where is the ocean of milk? I want to go and set a business there. A cheese business. There's no ocean of milk. Ocean of liquor. Where is the ocean of liquor? And I'll go and make a liquor factory there, a bottle factory. And guess their children, their sons, have actually found there is a nebula which has the taste of rum and strawberry. You can even Google it. There's a big, huge cloud somewhere in space which floats around, so it's like an ocean. It's found. The books of the Hindus have some truth in it. The first thing they actually found was the ocean of liquor. They didn't go for milk. They didn't go for ghee. They went for liquor. Why? Because they're asuras. They like liquor. So, Prabhupada even used Sadaputa Prabhu. Sadaputa Prabhu was very nice little background of him. He's not there anymore. He left his body a long time ago. When he came to ISKCON in the 60s, he came very humbly. And he put all these things in a trunk, in a metal box, like all brahmacharis did. And one day, and he was cleaning the toilets and cleaning this the way Prabhupada started, humble. And then one day, somebody was looking in his possessions, and he found rolled up a PhD certificate in mathematics. So they went to Prabhupada. Prabhupada, this bhakta, he has a PhD in mathematics. Yeah, get him out here. Get him out of the toilet cleaning. Get him out of here. Get him out of the cleaning. He says, so you have a PhD in mathematics. Okay, your task is to prove mathematically that Krishna exists. Prabhupada used that field of science, the demoniac axe, the wood, to cut the demons. And Sadaputa Prabhu did pretty well, because somehow he was able to mathematically establish that like traveling past, present, future is possible in consciousness. How he did that, it's very advanced mathematics, so we won't be able to understand it. But to prove Krishna's existence, I don't think he fully did that. But it would be nice for others who are fired up to prove that, because mathematics is the Sanskrit of science. Just like for us, when we chant shlokas, we prove everything by scriptural reference. For them, if you can prove it by mathematics, it's absolute truth. So like that. But having said that, Yukta Vairagya, using all these material facilities in Krishna's service, can also be very dangerous. Because Well, having studied, genetics, you always learn that there was a monk named Joseph Mendel. I think it's a German name, isn't it? Mendel? Yeah, the German. They're always the Germans. When it comes to scientists, mostly they're Germans. Joseph Mendel was a monk, I think a Catholic monk, and he wanted to have some scientific evidence behind the Bible. And he was into pollinating, growing beans, like that. So he started crossing different species of peas, green peas, yellow peas. You know how peas grows, right? It's a legume. And he did pretty well. He was able to predict, okay, then so many peas will be green, so many will be yellow. And he's considered to be the father of genetics. He was a monk in the field of genetics. And he did it actually to put some scientific underground under the Bible. But the result of that was, when others took it over, it actually worked against the Bible. By using Mendel's system, observation, testing, and proving, Christianity lost its faith because many things they saw in there were just superstition. And it was wrong, By using the monks' methods of evidence, they dug into the soil and dug up bones which were 10,000 years old. But the Bible says the earth is only 6,000 years old. Where did this bone come from? And, using Joseph's method of genetics, Adam and Eve, they had one kid. I think his name was Abel or Cain. Anyway, one of them. Yeah, okay, they had kids. And these kids, they got married with a woman and got children. Where did the woman come from? So, science led to questions which shook the very foundation of Joseph Mendel's church. You see? So, the result was that the government didn't want to teach in public schools, public schools, they wanted to teach the gospel anymore. Yukta Vairagya, they throw away the whole thing, it worked against them. And they say now, see how much we know now after we have given up the holy books. See how much we know now more? Like that. So they're saying this. These are the slogans of the, you can say, the secular church. Secular church. Why? Because the system of thinking hasn't gone out of that. It's like the priests in the church, they wear some kind of dress and they do the rituals which only they can understand. So if they have taken the same thing, people who work in the laboratory wear white coats and they do all kinds of things, they talk all kinds of strange words, and only they know what they are doing. So that tradition has been gone. It's called science. So, in spite of that, scientists, modern scientists, very much like Sanskrit writings. So for them, you can't throw the whole thing on, religion. A lot of the things which scientists have discovered are coming from the Sanskrit writings. So they feel that there is truth in it, even though they can't understand how it is true. Some could understand. And often they take the tool of mathematics, especially the Upanishads, to decipher what the Upanishads are saying. Because somehow or other, they find mathematics to be a tool by which you can look at more dimensions, which is there. Have you ever heard of imaginary numbers? If you have done university, you might have come across that. Can you take the square root of -1? Is it possible? The square root of -1? No, it's not possible, right? But there is a definition, it's called imaginary, an imaginary number. Square root of -1 is I. So, imaginary, but somehow it works. So you actually are going into another dimension to solve a problem in this dimension. So in this way, science is, you can look for it. If you want to know more about this, you can look for it. It's not so difficult actually. But imaginary, which basically means in the mind. So mathematics, which spreads, goes from the physical realm into the mental realm in order to solve problems in the physical realm. So these things are there, and in this way they are actually able to, you can say, look in the subtle realm, in the impossible realm. Because -1 square root is impossible in this world, but not in that world. So Western science or society claims to be very scientific. And yes, maybe some of them are a little bit scientific. And on the Manomoya level, that means that one thinks using one's conditioned nature and to at least use your conditioned nature to raise to a higher level of consciousness. There are a few individuals in the Western society, right, isn't it? Who have. Well, most of the people don't care for that. Western society is mainly focused on food, money, and yeah, you shouldn't harm each other. That's all. There's Annamaya, Pranamaya. Respect life. What they mean by life is basically the animal instincts, animal drives. The highest level of life, knowing your conditioned nature, what is your duty in life, how to become liberated, like Varnashram gives, it's not there in the Western society. It's only focused on working for eating and being happy on the physical realm, right? So that's Annamaya and Pranamaya. And they will defend their lifestyle from all kinds of viewpoints, even with wars and weapons. And then they will use what Prahlad is being taught here, Sam, Dana, Bheda, Danda. In politics, there are 4 steps, but they also have subdivisions. Very interesting. I'll just mention that and I'll round up the class. Is if you want to get something done, this is called diplomacy. Then the Vedic literature mentions in Rajaniti, in the political sciences, there are certain steps you take. Suppose somebody is against you and making a lot of noise. This guy is not good, throw him out, this and that, we'll take over a coup. You know, what is it in French? You had the bourgeois or something like that. They were trying to kill the king and things like that, you know. So then, how do you take action? The first you try to do is sama. Sama means pacifying. How do you pacify somebody? You bring him in and you glorify him. You flatter him. You're such a great person. Why are you like this? You need some medicine maybe, or have you eaten some? Why are you so unhappy? I can make you happy. Why are you making so much noise? You're a good person. I know you have done well. And your results are pretty good. So it doesn't become you to behave like this. Actually, if that doesn't work, you give him instruction, upadesh, and that give moral advice. It would not be so good. Look, if all people would behave like this, then there would be chaos. You want to have order, but then also your order will be undermined by the behavior of others who behave like you. So better, take a moral action and, be at least moral, see what's good. Should like that. If that doesn't work, if it works, it's fine. We can also use sangati. You're like my brother, We're from the same family, same root, This was done by Chandakazi when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came with an Harinam session, which was meant for revolting against the ban the Kashi had done on Harinam Sankirtan. And the first thing the Chandakazi did was this thing, Sangati. Nilambar Chakravarti is like my my uncle. So if he's my uncle, then you are my nephew. So why can a nephew be angry on his uncle? So Sangati, this is a political strategy you do by uniting. So then it creates some peace. Or you can encourage somebody. Yeah, it's good what you're actually doing, encourage him and console him. It is good, to be awake. Yeah, appreciate, I made a mistake, yeah. Or good that you told me, like that. But the thing is something else in his mind. So this is sama. This is how you pacify people. If that doesn't work, you do dana. Dana means bribery, giving donation, bribing. So just like, how can you do dana? By arthadan, by giving some wealth. Hey, come here. You know, I've heard you're shouting too loud, you know. Why don't you take this box, you know? There are fresh printed dollars in there. All 100 bill notes. What, like that? There's only one condition, you know. You just be happy and enjoy. And don't make any disturbance anymore, okay? Be happy, you know, you take this. There is a, you know, arthadan, give him something valuable. That he'll be, yeah, okay. You know? Or, you know, say, okay, you don't believe in paper? Okay. I got some gems here also, some really good diamonds, you know. Some diamonds, some gold I also have. You like to have, you know, golden rings with diamonds in it on each finger? Yes. Okay, you take this. But just, you know, be peaceful and happy, you know. Enjoy life. Why you want to upset people? If it doesn't work, listen, you know. I'm seeing you're pre-active, and you're also qualified. Look how much following you have, you know. You know, any king would be afraid of you, you know. You know what? You're so talented. Why don't you become the head of 5 villages, you know? Right? Or, you know, you can take that part of the country, rule that. You know, you're talented. You're excellent in speaking, you know, like that. You know? You give land. You buy him with land, buy him with villages and like that. If that doesn't work, then, or it can work, we can also give him titles. Listen, you know, if you cooperate with me, I'll give you the title of knight. And the kings used to make other people, you know, some good citizens, they would give them a sword and make them into a knight, a royal title. And then you have privileges, you know. You can rule, you can walk very proudly that you have some position and name in famous society. Or like like they have nowadays, not so much in the West, but in India it's very prominent, is that a gold medal. When you study nicely, and then as a ranking, you're the first one, you get a gold medal, really a gold medal. Second gets silver, and then you get bronze. So like that, you're entitled, you know, the winner of the school. There's nothing to do with education, but it's going on. So similarly, by giving honorary title and privileges, one can make somebody, you know, cool down, no fire. And or you can also do prayatnadan, giving opportunities or favors. Listen, you have done so well. Why don't you take this project? You know, that land has to be conquered, or that has to be, you know, whatever has to be done in some project. I'll give you the responsibility for that. And when you succeed, you get all the credits for that. In this way, you give dana, you bribe the person. I remember that when there was an international meeting for environmental crisis many years ago, maybe 10 years ago already. Then all the countries came together because the earth is warming up, the ice caps are melting, what to do. Then the blame was given to America as being the biggest polluter, because every American has a second car. And these cars are not European cars, made for very economical driving, small and speedy. No, they're big cars and they drink a lot of diesel. So they're the biggest polluters. So they were charged that you have to clean the air. And then I recall, I was not a student, I just heard it. Then the president next day gave a press conference. He said that we are willing to give so many $1 billion to the developing countries. And that was it. He didn't say, and we're not going to clean the air or something like that. Bribery. We'll bribe the other countries, let them clean it, we're not going to do it. Right? So this is how pratna or whatever things are being done in diplomacy. If that doesn't work, you do bheda. Bheda means creating dissension, divide and rule policy. Very famous. You have mitra bheda, breaking alliances and friendship. Right? And you can also do shatru bheda. If there is enmity, then you can exploit the enmity among each other. Just like the Britishers, they were expert at that. When they left India, they created Pakistan and India. Let them fight forever and never become powerful again. So this is, first it was Mitra Bheda, because when India was parted, the Muslims and the Hindus were living together friendly. So they broke the friendship. And then when Pakistan came into existence, they are feeding them with weapons and money so that the wars can happen like that. So Shatru Bheda, exploiting enmity among the enemies. If another way is Shanka Bheda, creating suspicion, like suppose you have two kings and they are both your enemies. You try to create some dissension, break them, the ally between them. How do you do that? You can do one thing. You can send a big treasury with gems and diamonds, and you tell your men who carrying that, you wear the dress of this king's kingdom, the way they dress in the kingdom, dress like that. And you take a nice piece of paper saying that, my dear king, our king is very happy with your support of us, the enemy king, and that you're allying with us in order to destroy the other king. So it's not true, but they do it secretly at night, carrying that, and then they have to be caught by that king, by the constables of the king, and that letter should have been rolled out of their pocket, so it's been read, and then they will see, oh, what? This king is allying with the enemy king. That means he's cheating us. He's not our friend. He's allying with the enemy based on the wealth which is going there, right? In this way, it creates suspicion. And by suspicion, then, wars might be cancelled. Because, you don't know if he will be your ally and come to fight with you. And you alone are not powerful enough. So in this way, you can do bheda, and you can also intensify the rivalry, which is seen nowadays very much, that certain countries are supporting other countries by supplying weapons all the time. If that also doesn't work, then the fourth one of diplomacy is danda. Danda means a penalty, fines and punishment. So you can have legal penalties, imprisonment, fines, vigraha, direct war, upeksha, you boycott something, economical boycott, nobody should buy these products from this country. You cut supplies, there's also a type of warfare which is very much in this day and age seen. And akrama, assault or invasion, you see that also, that's also war. So this is all the things which Prahlad was being taught by the Shandanamarka, which he didn't like. He liked to be Krishna conscious. So these are the things what we basically read about in this Bhagavatam today. And I think I'll end here and see if there is any questions or comments. No. ग्रंथ राशि में भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल।